Buckle up, space travelers. It's time to go live on S4 with Eric Cooper.
Prepare to go to the edge.
3 years. Over 1,000 followers. 30,000 downloads in the archives.
Welcome to S4.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to S4, the official radio broadcast of Forest Moon Paranormal, with host Eric Cooper and our panel of enlightened minds. Coming to you live from FMP headquarters located in the heart of Skagit Valley, Washington, at the base of the majestic North Cascade Mountains. We will take you through a journey of exploration as we examine every aspect of the metaphysical. From spirits, UFOs, Bigfoot, and conspiracies, to grounding, protection, astral travel, and everything in between, leaving you with a better understanding and comprehension of the world around you, and the entities that inhabit it.
Join us every Saturday night at Spreaker.com and locally on KSVU 90.1. Don't forget to check out our new webpage at www.s-4radio.com.
Now sit back, open your mind, get ready, because this is S4.
Good evening or morning, depending on where you are, and welcome to S4, the dark voice of the paranormal and conspiracy, coming to you live from the S4 headquarters in the heart of the Cascade Mountains of eastern Skagit County in Washington State. S4 is the voice where you'll hear everything covering all aspects of the paranormal, from hauntings and alien interaction, Bigfoot and other cryptids, and everything in between that makes you question reality. We also cover topics for safety such as disaster and terrorist response and preparation, and veterans issues on Memorial and Veterans Days. Not only can you find S4 right here on Spreaker and S-4radio.com, but for our local listeners, also on KSVU 90.1 FM from 10 to 12 on Saturdays with pre-recorded shows. So folks, tonight it's November 30th and it's time for our holiday roundtable with a panel of special guests. So what happens at roundtable is everyone on the panel brings in 3 questions for everyone to answer. Anything from paranormal to conspiracy, current events. So kick back, grab that coffee and a cigarette if you smoke, and post your questions in the chat room. Tonight with us we have Cole Wegleiter, Don Davidson, our California consultant, Will Hovenden, our military consultant, Aubrey Zell, the founder of the Church of All Worlds, the Wardens, the Grey School of Wizardry, and himself a wizard, and a well-revered pagan elder in our pagan community, and our Keith Andrews, our alien race specialist. So how are we doing tonight, folks?
Perfect.
Great. Still conscious.
Great. Glad to be here.
Outstanding. And I know, Aubrey, you can only be with us for the first hour, so I want to focus a lot on you for the first hour.
All right.
And you're well known for the Church of All Worlds. What got you started on starting that community?
Well, the Church of All Worlds was really inspired by a science fiction novel called Stranger in a Strange Land. by Robert Heinlein, and it was published in 1961. And we, several of us who were in our first year in college at that time, read it and just found it very inspirational. And it proposed the idea of creating a new religion that would be an assimilation, an amalgam of the best of all the different religions of the world, with an extra little special twist, one of immanent divinity, of recognizing that divinity is something that is a quality within all of us, like the water that we share in our body. And so the sharing of water became a kind of a symbol, essentially, of the sharing of spirit. And thus the church was begun when we had our first water sharing on April 7th of 1962. And it's grown ever since then. We were kind of a secret society of water brothers for about 5 years. And then we started debating among ourselves whether we should take this public or just keep it a kind of an underground thing. And after considerable consideration, we decided to do both. So it's Labor Day weekend of 1967, we came public with the Church of All Worlds. And somebody asked me at that time what kind of a church we were. They wanted to know, were we one of these new Age cults or sects? Were we some kind of an Eastern thing or a Christian group, or what were we? And I said, well, I guess you could say we're pagans. Mm-hmm. And that seems to have been the first time anybody ever claimed to be pagan. And so that began a movement. Because after that, I would hear about other people and other groups, and I would contact them and say, hey, you guys sound like pagans, and we're pagans, and let's all be pagans together, la-di-da. And we started creating pagan alliances and associations, and a growing community of people refer to themselves as pagans. And now there's a huge movement that is currently officially recognized as the second largest religion in America. And that is modern. Yep, at over 3 million people officially, according to the surveys. They estimate there's probably a lot more, that because a lot of people may not give honest answers. Right. But at least 3 million of us in America, and the next largest religion after that is Judaism, at about 2.9 million. So we're way up there. Of course, there's 70 million Christians, so they've got the head start. But still, I think we're doing pretty good after 50 years.
Indeed. And so I wanted to ask you, because I'm very familiar with the Queer and Tabernacle. I believe ATC is the second largest pagan Wiccan church to Church of All Worlds, is it not?
Well, they may be larger currently. The Church of All Worlds isn't that big in numbers these days. The numbers have expanded and contracted over the years at various times. I do believe that ATC may be the largest, but then there's also Circle, which is pretty huge as well, and various Druid organizations. But the largest faction of paganism is certainly witchcraft. In its many different traditions, about half of the people surveyed as pagans identify themselves as witches. So, right, that's half of us are witches, and the other half are divided among various other sort of groups, heathens and Church of All Worlds and Druids and Greeks and Egyptians and all that kind of stuff.
And it's interesting. I find that heathens don't like to label themselves as pagan. They prefer to stay heathens. Do you have any kind of explanation as to maybe why that is?
No, I don't really. All of us pagans consider them pagans. They show up at all the pagan festivals. Right. If you call all the pagans over here, they come over. So I don't quite know what to make of that. I guess they just want to have their own separate identity of the northern peoples. The Vikings and all that stuff. I just picked up a National Geographic book on the Vikings, though, and they refer to them throughout as pagans. So I don't know what to say about that. Paganism is recognized as an official religion in Iceland now, and I believe it's also getting that recognition in a few other of the Nordic countries. Denmark and Norway and Sweden and all are lined up for it, where the old pagan traditions are still part of normal life there. So I'm not quite sure. You'd really have to ask the heathens why they want to consider themselves separate from the rest of us. But
Right.
we don't.
And what's really cool too is the Druidry is an officially recognized religion in the UK, which being as they originated in Europe, I think that's a great step as well.
It is, and now the Greek traditional religion is officially recognized in Greece now that the European Union has guaranteed freedom of religion in all countries. It used to be illegal in Greece to be anything other than Eastern or Greek Orthodox, but now Greek Hellenic tradition is official. In the Baltic areas, like Lithuania and Latvia, the old religion is now officially recognized. So this is all happening everywhere. It's happening all over the world. It's not just in America. And of course, you've got a lot of the old pagan groups, like the Hindus, for example, and the Shintos in Japan, and they're all pagan, and they have officially recognized themselves in various levels. I mean, it's been a major thing in some of their publications that they identify that we're all part of the same great pagan phenomenon. And I think if we really get down to it, and everybody can kind of line up behind the same labels, paganism would be the largest religion on the planet. I mean, we've also got all these...
I would agree. You started when did you start the Grey School of Wizardry?
Well, the Grey School of Wizardry, I started in 2004 on Pi Day. Actually, it's officially incorporated on March 14th, Pi Day, and we opened our virtual doors on Lunasad, August 1st of 2004. And that was an outgrowth of the first book I wrote, The Grimoire for the Apprentice Wizard, which I conceived as kind of a Boy Scout handbook of wizardry, but it became, as it developed, it became a textbook, really. So I had to create a school for it to be a textbook for. And the school has been quite phenomenal. We have students in 50 countries around the world in over 500 classes, and phenomenal teachers, and we've been going just great for quite a while now. 16 departments. The school is awesome. I recommend everybody to check it out.
Indeed. And, getting to the book is awesome. We actually used your book for our Pagan Kids group that we had in Forest Moon Grove, along with the companion book to it.
Oh, wonderful. Well, when I wrote those, I expected that they would be oriented towards teenagers and that the school would be as well, but I was rather surprised when I opened the school that over 3/4 of our students were adults, and today adults comprise about 4/5 of the student body, and some of them up into their 80s, so the teachings and the material are not just for kids, although we are the only magical group, I'm pretty sure, that admits kids under 18.
Now, getting to the wardens, and I wasn't sure if you wanted to talk about the wardens or not, but when did you start the wardens up, and what was the reason for it?
Well, part of this whole thing was an outgrowth of the Grey Council. When I got the commission to write the book on wizardry, which was basically because of the Harry Potter phenomenon, they felt that a book on real wizardry would be a good thing. I convened a council of wizards, the sages and mages and elders and wise people and stuff like that of the community, the elders and founders and leaders and teachers, and this became kind of the advisory council, not only for the book but also for the school, to check over all the material and make sure that everything was really together, because we had people from many different traditions. At the original Grey Council was a couple dozen people. Today it's 45 members of the Grey Council. A number have died over the years, but new ones have come in. And so part of that we became aware as councils of elders. We would often go to festivals or events and find people coming to us with problems of magical malfeasance in the community, that people were just well, taking advantage of other people and using the stuff in really bad ways. And we would get called upon to deal with this stuff. And so we decided we needed to create a kind of a task force to address these kind of problems that would arise if somebody was being ripped off or screwed over by some, person practicing magical stuff. Well, they can come to the wardens, and we have people in areas of expertise that are not just pagans. We have some of our wardens are respected clergy in other churches, which, of course, I can't give any details on that because.
Right.
We really can't. But if people have a problem with somebody doing really bad stuff in the name of magical practice, if they can bring it to the attention of the wardens, and we will get on it and deal with it.
I kind of always compared the wardens to, in essence, magical police. Psychic, whether it's coming through psychic attack, whether that's why FMP, when we had our team going, we actually worked in conjunction a lot with the wardens because we dealt with spirit anomalies, spirit attacks, basically in the emergency response level. Whereas we know a lot of the wardens and would work in conjunction with you guys. That's why I wanted to bring up the wardens, because you guys deal with paranormal without really calling it paranormal.
Exactly. We just deal with it as it has to be dealt with. But it is kind of a paranormal police task force kind of a group that can handle things like this. And we just feel that there has to be some responsibility taken to this kind of stuff. We just can't have predators going around in our community. You have to use this for good,
Now, you're pretty much in touch with the pagan community, so I'm going to ask you this because you would know more than I do. But do you see pagans being threatened at all today with the administration we have? And I'm not trying to get into politics, but do you see any kind of threats being directed towards pagan community?
Well, that's an interesting question. People have asked me this stuff many times. Have I personally experienced harassment and stuff? And I can't say as I have a whole lot. I know that there are people out there who really consider us to be the enemy in a religious sense, but I don't think they really quite know what to do with something that isn't centralized, really. I mean, people talk about organized religion and how everybody hates organized religion. Well, paganism is not. Paganism is disorganized religion. Right. And it's really hard to do. I think that the worst that we get, and have gotten so far, has been attempts at character assassination on key figures, and that is a recurrent problem. And but actual physical assassination, I think that they figured out early on with Martin Luther King and all that creates martyrs, which is not what they want. But mostly, the general public outside of the community just seems to be blithely unaware of our very existence. It's really quite remarkable. There's a whole lot of us, and people just don't know it. But we do, I always wear my pinnacle jewelry out, and right, obviously, and many of us do, but many people don't or can't for various reasons. But when I do, I find people coming out of the woodwork and saying, I like your jewelry, blessed be, and they'll pull their pinnacle out of their shirt. We'll have a few words. And that's everywhere. It'll happen in stores and restaurants and just everywhere. So I recommend for people to do that, just wear your jewelry. It's amazing. You will meet each other and find wonderful people you never imagined, because the woods are full of us.
And with that, I do want to advise caution. Folks know their communities, so if you have a conservative community, it might not be advisable.
Well, be aware of that, and so we are. There's that aspect of some of us in some places can get away with being out in the open, and others have to be, in the words of one of the books, her hidden children.
Right.
And it's okay. That's why there's probably a lot more of us than we're even aware who don't respond to the surveys, who end up in the other, or didn't respond categories. Mm-hmm. I think there's a lot more of us than we realize.
I would agree. There's a lot more that are leaving mainstream religions in search of the path they should be on, or the path that they're drawn to, and a lot of them are drawn to nature and find that they're more welcoming or more welcome to the pagan communities than they are the mainstream religions.
Right. Well, we welcome all kinds of diversity, for example, that is rejected in the mainstream. We've never had issues with, gay people. We don't have any problem with transsexual people. We don't have any problem with, different, whatever, differences, diversity. We love it. I mean, we're all for that. Bring it on. How diverse can we get here, And so we get people who come out of mainstream religions, Christianity, Catholicism, Judaism, and they feel perfectly comfortable here because we're welcoming everybody who wants to be here. The amazing thing is that our meteoric growth, which has been recognized for decades as the fastest growing religion in the Western world, is done without proselytizing. We simply do not go around and try to drag people kicking and screaming off the streets and knock on their doors and say, have you heard the word of the lady, and would you like to hear about 4 watchtowers, and that kind of stuff. We don't do that. People have to find their way, and sometimes it's not easy, even.
And
so,
cool. I've got to say that I think the most discrimination and harassment I've ever experienced, believe it or not, was actually in the military. And I know Don could agree with that. And I don't know if Will, if you've experienced anything in the Army right now. Will? Do we still have Will?
Well, maybe not.
Don?
I'm here.
So, remembering Telefar, do you remember all the crap we had to go through in Telefar?
Honestly, outside of what was happening with you, my platoon was actually really good about me going there and doing my thing. So I actually had a really good experience with that. They did make some snide comments every now and again, but it wasn't entirely malicious.
And that's great. That it's really based on the unit. Some units understand that there's diverse religions. We had one soldier that her EO NCO actually called her a Satanist and refused to allow her to go. And I actually had to get involved with her unit and have her commander correct the EO NCO that we are not. Go ahead, Albron.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I think that by and large people are becoming aware when they learn about us at all, when they become aware of our existence. They are becoming aware of us being a nature religion that are nice, friendly people. The satanic thing was not ever associated with paganism. It was associated with witchcraft. So the witches had to deal with that. But the pagans didn't. Paganism has always been regarded as kind of romantic and exotic and interesting, but not really threatening, the way witchcraft was seen as being threatening. You don't have stories of evil pagans like you have stories of evil witches, Same thing for wizardry. We don't have negative images of wizards. We have positive images like, Merlin and Obi-Wan Kenobi and Dumbledore and Gandalf. All the wizards are positive. Of course, you get evil sorcerers that are thrown in, and you get evil Satanists, as it were. But by and large, people are understanding that most of us are the good guys, and they just find us interesting rather than threatening. And especially things like pagan pride events that are public events, people come to these and they love them, and it's all fun. We get interviewed on TV and stuff.
And I would agree. I mean, there was a couple, I think it was 2 or 3 years ago, they had protests at the Seattle Pagan Pride. But I mean, and that goes with ignorance. Once people actually look it up and see what the religion's about, they either open their mind and understand that it is a nature-loving, peace-loving belief system.
Right.
But I think with the politics of the day is where you have to be a little more cautious. So, did you hear about, and I'm sure you did, through the news, the witches that were putting spells against President Trump?
Yeah, that was, I don't think that was well done. I mean, I at least not to publicize it, you know.
Right.
I certainly wouldn't. I wouldn't stand in the way of. I might even, possibly participate in, in such sort of things. It was binding work, is what was being done to basically prevent him from doing any more damage. But announcing it publicly was not really good press, I think. And that's the kind of thing that gets a backlash, and I felt that was really very ill-advised.
I completely agree. To me, it gives witches a bad name. Well, when they come out in the media and the press and say what they're doing, true witches.
We don't want to get a reputation for cursing people and stuff. That's the stuff that got us burned at the stake,
Right. So, let's see here. What are your plans? Where do you see Auberon in the next 5 years?
Well, my big thing right now that I'm really pushing, and I really encourage everybody to check this out, is the 2020 Vision Awakening Project. I discovered some time back, it's in the grimoire, if you read the section on nature stuff, that there is a 60-year cultural renaissance cycle. Every 60 years since the Italian Renaissance of the 1480s, there's been a cultural renaissance, and they all have names, like the Italian Renaissance, 1480s, the Reformation of the 1540s, the English Renaissance of the 1600s, the Scientific Revolution of the 1660s, the Great Awakening of the 1720s, the French and American Revolutions of the 1780s, the Transcendentalist Awakening movement of the 1840s, the Golden Dawn of the turn of the century, and of course the New Age of the 1960s. And now we are right on the brink of the next one of these, and it's got a really interestingly fortuitous naming for it. For one thing, 2020 we associate with vision. So 2020 is perfect vision. We talk about 2020 hindsight, so this is a great time to be doing 2020 foresight and envisioning where we want this next decade to be. And when enough people can put a common vision in place, it has a powerful effect on changing the world. And by the straight laws of physics and experiments and all that, our consciousness shapes reality. Now, most of the time, we're all scattered with all kinds of different stuff. But if you've got a lot of people united in a common vision, that becomes a very powerful thing. Look at the impact of Star Trek, for example, on our culture. And it appeared weeks after the prophesied end of the world in a nuclear apocalypse that was given in the movie The Time Machine, which was put out in 1960 and envisioned in August of 1966 there would be a global nuclear apocalypse. Well, that didn't happen, but 3 weeks later, Star Trek premiered with a different vision of the future in a time when there really wasn't one, and all of a sudden everybody got this new vision, this new idea, and it really changed the world. Another example is the harmonic convergence of 1987, when millions of people around the world all sat for a while in the afternoon and kind of meditated on world peace and harmony. And within weeks after that, the Berlin Wall went down, the Iron Curtain was over, perestroika was declared, the communist world pretty much imploded, the Soviet Union collapsed. I mean, it was an astonishing example of what can be done when enough people hold a common vision. So what I'm putting out now is for people to align with that. So I have a website called 2020 Vision Awakening. You can go to all one word, and it's got a place for people to write in their visions of what they want to see in the 2020s. And I really feel strongly if we develop this as a community, that's part of it. And the other thing I'm working with is to try to get every pagan festival, gathering, pagan pride event, everything, having a voting registration booth and getting all of our people registered and convince them to get out there and vote. Because voting is practical magic. Magic is probability enhancement. And we shift the probabilities towards our manifestation by focusing on what we want, not what we don't want. So voting is one of those. You cast your vote for what you want to happen, and we've got to get all our people out there doing it this year. This is critical year. The stakes have never been higher. So that's what I'm on about right now.
Excellent. I know you're on tour right now too, and you're about to move to Massachusetts?
No. My plans are in the spring to move to Nashville.
Okay.
Tennessee. Yeah, I spent the last winter in Salem, which was really cool. I had several months there, had a wonderful time and experiences, and then I went back on the road, and I've been traveling all this year and all over the Western Hemisphere. I've been in Guatemala and Ecuador as well as all over the United States, and I'm kind of wrapping up my touring with this trip over the next month that I'll be going up to Seattle, and I'll see you up there. Mm-hmm. And then after that, in January and February, I'll be making my move to Nashville, where I expect to settle down and have a home base for a change. Because, the road trip has been fun and exciting, but it's also exhausting. And I've been doing this now for a year and a half, and I'm ready to complete the journey.
Oh, I hear you. You got any more books you plan on writing?
Well, I've got a number of books that are out. The most recent one came out just in 2014, just before my beloved life mate Morning Glory died, after 40 years we had together. And that book was a story of our life together called The Wizard and the Witch. And since then, I've got a book that's awaiting completion and publication with Llewellyn called Death, Rights, and Rights. I'm working on one called Goodbye, Jesus, I've Gone Home to Mother, which is accounts of Christian clergy who have come over to paganism and their stories about how that happened. And, I think the journey that I've been writing, I've been chronicling my adventures and travels and journaling on them and posting them on my Facebook page and stuff. And I think that's going to be a book of my walkabout journeys, So, and I've got lots and lots of books that I've got lots of material. I've got folders full of material. If I ever can settle down and have enough time to complete them, I've probably got a dozen books I could have out within just a couple of years. But it's hard to do that when I'm on the road,
Right. So I know you plan on going, and you're going to spend Yule at the ATC. I know you're looking forward to that.
I am.
Have you, so we talk about Bigfoot on this show. Have you ever had Bigfoot encounters in California?
I can't say as I've had an encounter, but I've had some people I've been very close to who have had encounters, and they've told me their stories. And I visited the various Bigfoot museums around the Northwest and stuff. The last one that I really spent time with, had a wonderful afternoon, was the one down in Santa Cruz, because I was down there for a while, and compared notes and stuff. I personally feel very convinced that that Bigfoot is real. The problem is that there are several different versions apparently out there. There's one of them that appears to be, a physical entity that I would say is probably, if I was just to put my best guess, a survival of the Paranthropus that was a kind of a parallel hominid evolution that was much bigger than our ancestors. And I think that the descriptions and films and photos all match that identity. But then you've got a lot that seem to be totally paranormal, things that are just not where they should be, sightings in places that couldn't possibly sustain a large population like the Pacific Northwest or Canada could. And some of them, they just disappear mysteriously, or they don't leave footprints, or they appear to not entirely be there, like projections. And I'm just damned if I know what to make of all that. It's like there's a lot of phenomena, it seems to me, that are connected to some parallel reality or parallel universe or something, that they're not really physically entirely here, but they're just kind of projections or openings or something. And that seems to account for a lot of it. Charles Fort hypothesized that in his books, of course, as an explanation for a lot of the weird stuff he chronicled.
I think, just my opinion, I think a lot of the Bigfoot encounters are an interdimensional, and more of an interdimensional being, which would explain why the disappearances. why you have the game cams that turn white and you can hear the primate noise in the background. I think he's a guardian. That's just my. I've always wondered if maybe he's part of the Fey realm, but I don't think so.
Well, that's a real possibility because they can certainly be equated with the legends of trolls and ogres and giants and things like that too, which are widespread around the world. So whatever it is, it's a phenomenon. It's a real phenomenon, and like so many others, like the UFO phenomenon in general, we know there's something going on, but exactly what it is is still up for grabs. We got lots of interesting theories, and I'm fascinated by it all, and I hope someday that some of them will be resolved and we'll know for sure. But right now, there's a lot of unanswered questions, which is cool. We get to explore that stuff.
Well, that's why it's called paranormal.
Yeah, exactly. Paranormal, exactly.
So, Keith, you still with us?
Yep.
So, Keith, you want to go into? I can't remember what you call them, but the Bigfoot off-world race.
You're talking about the Wara.
Tell Aubrun about the Awara.
Okay.
Well, they look very similar to the Bigfoot, except for the fact that they're a lot more aggressive. Basically, if you look at the way they walk, they got the same sort of gait. The biggest difference with them is it didn't originate here. Okay. Basically, they are very carnivorous. They're the ones that when you hear about aggressive Bigfoot, that's usually what they are, because Bigfoot itself is an extremely gentle creature. Right. If you ever go out in the woods, you find basically medium-sized trees that look like small trees that look like they've been pulled over and woven together.
Mm-hmm.
It's usually a Wara nest.
Really? Okay. So
I didn't hear so much about the aggressive Bigfoot until I guess this year is when I first started hearing more and more cases of the aggressive ones. And the Bigfoot we have here in the Pacific Northwest is, like he said, they're more the gentle giants. The more passive ones would rather keep to themselves, where the Awara is the one that's known to be aggressive. So I think we're seeing a lot more of the off-world race coming down, which would explain why we get more aggressive cases.
So is your hypothesis that they come through another dimension or UFOs or what?
Absolutely not. See, everything that exists on this planet is third-dimensional. Some of it vibrates at a much higher pace, making it a lot harder to see. Of course, natural camouflage is the other option, is the other thing that happens a lot.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. Now, they can on occasion come through a localized wormhole, which is not a different dimension, just a shortcut through this one.
Okay.
This is why you'll find even people can end up going through them. There's lots of reported cases where people vanish off the street from where they are and show up on the other side of the world.
Right, I'm familiar with some of those, yeah.
That's just somebody walking through an unstable wormhole.
Okay.
But the Wara itself, because of the way that mankind has gone, the energy around mankind is drawing more of the aggressive race. And much as the consortium is actually doing its best to control that, it's a little difficult in the case.
Well, are they more, as you say, associated with like the Wendigo in Canada?
The Wendigo is probably, and my suspicion is the Wendigo is likely Wara.
That's what I was thinking, from what you're saying.
Because the Wara are not known for being, shall we say, sociable. Like, I missed the name that you called it. I always understood from everything I've learned and from what I've seen, Bigfoot itself, I always, the closest I came to was Gigantopithecus, which again is a predecessor of the hominid family, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
But not nearly as aggressive.
No, not by any means. If you look on some of the YouTube channels that actually have the stories of the aggressive ones, two of them happened here, one of them happened in Oregon. And the one in Oregon actually had lights that came out of the sky, shot back up into the sky, and after it did, they were surrounded by these more aggressive Bigfoot creatures. So I would have to say that's a little more likely the Aurora, just because you have lights that go up in the sky. I mean,
exactly.
So there may be like alien, pets or aggressive, like we had dogs that we did go places that are attack animals, that kind of stuff.
In manner of speaking, there are feline and canine races that are bipedal.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm still looking up the research to figure out if what I grew up understanding of lichen is actually Lyran. That seems to be sort of an indicator. The felines, I've run into a few. One of which is they aren't exactly, well, they are alien, but it's not like they can go home. They didn't bring a ship. Okay.
Well, I've often thought that maybe humans were basically domesticated by cat people and stuff to be able to be the perfect servants for them.
From my understanding, no.
Okay.
I do not debate that some of the feline races have used humans as slaves, but humans were not designed by the felines at all.
No, that was just Basque.
I'll have to check with my kitties about that. I think they think that that's the case.
Oh,
right.
There is no question that cats believe that they are the ones in charge.
Yes, absolutely.
And most people that think they own cats will confirm, really, cats are the ones that rule the house.
Well, they say the difference between dogs and cats is that the dogs will go, these people, they feed me, take care of me, see to my every need. They must be gods. And the cats will go, these people, they feed me, take care of me, see to my every need. I must be a god.
Yeah, pretty much.
Right.
It's all a matter of perception.
Yes, it is.
Dogs listen, cats take note. Maybe.
Yep.
But no, when you start looking at Bigfoot and the Aurora, a Bigfoot, if it can disappear out of the map, it will. A Aurora is you're in trouble. I'm absolutely certain that the people that when Lucas decided to design the Wookiee.
Oh yes.
I am absolutely certain that he ran into a Aurora to start with.
Interesting. Well, that was clearly the Wookiee inspiration. Absolutely.
Yeah, well, that's kind of where I came from. Well, I do know that Lucas is one of three producers that actually know what's going on. Well, technically one of four. There's three in the States and one that I'm aware of in Europe.
Who are they?
Well, Spielberg, Carter, and Lucas all know exactly what's going on. Roddenberry did, but Roddenberry, for some bizarre reason, isn't doing it anymore.
He's dead.
That would be the reason.
Yeah.
And I forget who the European one is. I heard the name once, and that unfortunately doesn't do me a lot of good.
All right, so we're about 15 minutes from the top of the hour. Oz, where can folks find you and find a schedule of your events that are coming up and whatnot?
Well, the best place for that is my gateway to everything is my personal website, oberonzell.com, and everything is up there. I've got my links to my books, my art, my statues, the school, the Church of All Worlds, the 2020 project, and my calendar of events and appearances are all listed there. So if you just go there, you'll find everything else you want to know. And my journal reports are there. But I'm also on Facebook, and if you want to just know more stuff, you can just Google me or buy my books. Follow up. I'm really easy to find all over the place. But oberonzell.com is my main website.
And what if they have a case that they want to present to the wardens? Do they contact you directly, or is there a site for the wardens that they can contact them if they have something they want checked out?
There is a site for the wardens. I'm just trying to remember. If you look up Grey Council Wardens on Facebook, it should take you to it. But if you don't find it easily enough, if somebody sends me an email or message it, I will forward it on to the wardens also. And there are, as you know yourself, wardens around that people generally know. So if you are contacted, I'm sure you can direct them in the right place. In the Grey School, our Department of Dark Arts is a training ground also for defensors, many of whom are now in the Warrens and have had that specific training in defense against the dark arts. So there's a lot of little gateways in, but Grey Council Wardens will be the key that you'll want to Google.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay.
And do you plan on setting up any kind of new organizations when you get to Kentucky? Or is that just going to be your new home?
Well, it's Tennessee. That's going to be your new home. And I never know. I've got so many different things that I started up and you're going. It's hard to keep track of them all. And I try to keep a hand in to get enough people lined up. Some folks right now are working on putting together a kind of a fan club site for me so that all of my friends around the country, around the world, can have a place where they can post photos and conversations and share the experiences and stuff like that. So that's a happening thing. But that's just, it hasn't gotten off the ground yet. It's just being put together. The less I have to organize and run things, the easier it is for me, of course, because I really want to be able to devote time to writing my books and doing my art that I've been neglecting. But right now, the 2020 Vision Project is, it's not exactly an organization that you can join or anything, but you can participate. I want everybody to participate, and I want people to take that locally. I want to see 2020 Vision be a theme of all the pagan festivals and gatherings in this coming year. We'll only get one chance of this. There's only going to be one 2020, so we should really milk it for all it's worth. There's an enormous amount of power in the concept of 2020 vision, and it's perfect for us. So I really want to see people get on that. And I'm just trying to help kind of coordinate and network with all that stuff. So, that's my main actual organizations are the Church of All Worlds and the Grey School of Wizardry, and I'm very pleased with both of those. So, that's all going.
And I completely agree. And you've done great work. And I got to say, happy birthday, because I know today was your birthday.
Yes, it is. I've made 77 journeys around the sun. I was just calculating how many miles I've traveled in this particular journey. I figure just going around the sun for 77 years, I put on 45,070,537,820 miles just going around the sun for 77 years. So that's a lot of mileage. I think I'm due for an oil change.
Indeed. And we're going to go ahead and cut to break early. And when we come back, we will start the roundtable. So thank you for being on the show tonight, Alvaron, and we will see you in a couple weeks.
All right. See you in a couple of weeks, and have a good time until then. Good night, then. And blessed be to everybody.
Blessed be. And when we come back, folks, we will carry on roundtable. I just wanted to give Alvaron the first hour because It's a one shot we get with them. All right, stay tuned.
You are listening to S4 on Spreaker.com.
Forest Moon Paranormal is a non-for-profit emergency response team that handles all aspects of the paranormal, helping you, your family, friends, and community since 2004. Whether you're having a problem with hauntings, spirits, Bigfoot, other types of cryptids, or UFO activity. Maybe you're just unsure of what's bothering or terrifying you. Or maybe you're just afraid of criticism and disbelief. FMP is here for you. We handle cases globally and locally from our headquarters in Skagit County, Washington. We never accept any form of payment for our services and are 100% confidential. You can find us on Facebook under Forest Moon Paranormal. You can private message us for assistance, or just come join in the discussion and become part of our growing FMP community.
Hey S4ians, please check out one of our newest sponsors, Wiser Books. They're an imprint of Red Wheel Wiser. They publish books across the entire spectrum of occult and esoteric subjects. Their mission is to publish quality books that will make a difference in people's lives without advocating any one particular path or field of study. They value the integrity, originality, and depth of knowledge of their authors. Please check them out at redwheelwiser.com.
We've had several days of 80-degree plus weather here in Concrete, Washington. My family's favorite way to keep cool in this heat is to stop by Java Zone 2 and grab a delicious iced latte for me and a blended mocha for my husband. Our son just loves their creamy milkshakes, and our daughter can't get enough of their ice cream. The best part is, Java Zone 2 is conveniently located just off Highway 20 beside Loggers Landing. And I'm proud to shop local for a business that has been a staple of the Concrete and Upriver community since it opened its doors in 2010. So if you're looking for a way to keep cool in this summer heat, come check out Java Zone 2. They're fast, friendly, and local.
All of us here at S4 and Forest Moon Paranormal would like to thank everyone who attended and supported our 2019 Paracon. It was an amazing event that we couldn't put on without our sponsors, our speakers, and our volunteers. Be sure to keep an eye on our Facebook group, Forest Moon Paranormal, for all your updates on Paracon 2020, September 26th, 2020. Thank you again to everyone.
Well, hello there. Us here at S4 would like to remind you out there that the UFOI team weekly meetings are broadcast live on Facebook from Denny's, where America eats, each Monday night, 6 to 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time at UFOI Team on Facebook. The UFOI team's gear, product store, and newsletter are located on their website at ufoiteam.com. To contact the UFOI team with your sightings report or a paranormal story, send an email to theufoiteam@gmail.com. Keep looking up and tell us your story.
Hey everyone, Cole here with S4 Paranormal Radio, the official voice of Forest Moon Paranormal. Looking for a way to get the word out there about your business, group, team, or product? Let us help you. A few clicks is all it takes to get started at s-4radio.com, or you can contact me at 360-999-2830. Welcome back to S4 with your host, Eric Cooper.
All right, we are back. Welcome back to S4. Tonight is our holiday roundtable. I say holiday, but you know, we're between Thanksgiving and Christmas now, so it is. You know, next week we're actually going to talk about Christmas Monsters again. That's kind of one of my favorite shows, but we're going to try to change it up because we always talk about Krampus and the Yule Cat, and we like to find new creatures. If you got an idea for a new creature, let me know.
Yeah, but I hope if we talk about Krampus, he'll show up.
That would be cool.
My kids need that.
I want to see Krampus.
Leave that alone.
You going to leave it alone? Come on down. So I think we lost Will. I know Will's been slammed with work. He just got back from the field. He might wake up in the third hour. We'll see.
No, I'm right here.
You are? Oh my God!
Hey, buddy.
Hey.
He wasn't asleep. He was ignoring you.
You missed the whole Oberon interview. Now I've got to ask you though.
Sorry, I think I did drop out for a second, but I'm here.
Okay. You sound like you're getting under the weather.
Sorry about that.
Oh, you're fine. Now, have you experienced any kind of questionable action because people find out you're pagan or no?
Yes.
Have you? Okay. Because we have my experience personally, I know Don said, and I know Don had a very welcome unit. I know when you went on missions and whatnot, your unit let you go straight to my trailer for meetings, correct, Don?
Yeah. As long as it was mission dependent, yeah.
Yeah, and that's great. Unlike a lot of units are dictated and run by very conservative commanders, which is why it's great we have organizations like the MRFF, the Military Religious Freedom Foundation, who are there solely to help against discrimination and whatnot. So, yeah, we'll talk offline, Will, if you're having issues.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't had any issues with leadership or anything like that. I had no issues in a little while, but it was mostly while in Tradoc.
Okay.
Just the occasional person who God is good, God is great, everything else is terrible, but no problems now.
Okay, good.
Thank you,
Good to hear. So, before you fall back asleep, what's your first question for the panel tonight, Will?
Okay. Yeah, sorry about that.
No, you're fine. I'm glad to have you on tonight.
I'm glad to be on. My first question is I'm wondering if aliens have artificial intelligence and how it affects their communication and their travel across the galaxy.
Keith?
Well, the reality is that they've stayed away from so-called artificial intelligence. Unless, of course, depends on your definition of artificial. Okay, and what I mean by that is if you take artificial intelligence as strictly human-conceived, or, if you will, corporeal-conceived thinking computers, then it's a good thing. From their standpoint, it's a really good idea to avoid it. Because a computer using simple logic will create a problem for any sentient race. Okay, so do they have very highly developed computers? Absolutely. But have they let them loose? No. Okay, and the reason for it is because of the side effects. There is one race that has mechanized intelligence. Of course, they themselves are straight mechanoid. In other words, they are thinking machines anyway, or at least what people call machines.
Mm-hmm. And just the question alone reminds me of there's so many out there that oh, well, Greys are robots. No, they're not. Greys are Greys. They're their own race. But you got too many people out there that think, based on their abduction experience, that Greys are actually robotic. And I think
No.
that's where that thought process comes from.
Well, here's the thing. Much like humans have built mechanical human lookalikes, so have the Greys. Humans themselves have built Greys, have built machines that look like Greys.
Mm-hmm.
But Greys are their own definitive race, and they are not on the endangered species list.
No. In fact, they're the most common race that's abducting humans.
Well, primarily because they're the ones that built the hybridization program.
Mm-hmm.
And they are not. And this funny thing that I find absolutely comical in a way, although sad, is no, Greys are not clones.
Right.
Like they are not carbon copies of each other.
How many different races of Greys are there? There's like 16 different Grey races, are there not?
15 different colors.
Okay.
And 2 different distinctive casts, if you will. The best visual I ever saw was in the original, the original Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Mm-hmm. Right,
the shot that they give right at the end of the movie that shows the little ones and the tall, gangly ones. The tall, gangly ones are your controllers. The short ones are the scientists.
Right. But aren't some of the taller ones... so some of them are controllers, I get that, but aren't some of the taller ones also doctors?
Some, yes. But those are, if you will, that's your administration crew.
Okay.
They're the ones that dictate who does what.
And that makes sense.
Much like humans have, various colors, various skeletal configurations, but they're all very definitively human.
Okay. I've also heard of some kind of technology. It looks kind of like a drone, but it's not a human-created drone. It's an alien-created drone. It floats essentially in just a few feet off the ground. Have you ever heard anything like that, Keith?
Well, the answer to that is yes. And there's a number of different races that use similar things. Or you might be looking at the Verosic, which are an actual orb. They're not actually a mechanized item. The Zotar those are man machines. The Zotar orbs are about 6 inches in diameter, tend to be low to the ground, but they have to be manned.
Okay. Does that answer your question, Will? Or you got more to it?
Yes, it does. Very well. Thank you.
Okay. How about you, Don? What's your first question for the panel tonight? Oh, Don.
Uh-oh.
Oh, sorry about that. No, I forgot I was muted.
Yeah, it doesn't work well, Don. I've tried that before.
Yeah, no, it doesn't do well if I don't answer right away, huh? All right, so why do you think that the majority of the stories are centered around, during the holidays are centered around paranormal themes, like A Christmas Carol and even the, what's that one with Tom Hanks as a train conductor?
Polar Express.
They go to the Polar Express. Why do you think it has a lot of themes like that?
Well, look at Santa Claus himself as paranormal. I mean, I don't know of any other being that can travel around the entire planet and give kids to all the boys and girls in a few simple hours.
You mean toys?
Yeah.
Huh?
You mean toys?
Yeah.
You said give kids.
Yep.
Well, if you hand toys out at the offer, some of them will like the kids. Also known
You
as
know, and I want to do a show on the spirits of Christmas, aside from the monsters of Christmas.
I was thinking ghost stories.
Yeah, we'll do a show on Christmas ghost stories. So be thinking of that. We'll probably do that in the second. So the second Saturday of December is going to be another holiday roundtable, a Christmas roundtable essentially. But where did they come up with the spirits of Christmas? Because, you know, look at Scrooge. And they, you know, they had the spirit of Christmas past and the spirit of Christmas present and the spirit of Christmas future, which was a Grim Reaper creature. But when you think about it, the Grim Reaper himself, he's only there to help you pass over. He's not really a bad guy.
Well, the main one is Santa Claus, and he was just
Santa Claus is always depicted as an elf.
well, but
The king of the elves.
the thing is, his name is actually Saint Nicholas, and his story does hold true.
Right.
He did give presents to a village of kids in a time where it seemed impossible.
Mm-hmm.
His story, it was always impossible. So it just became more and more overzealous as time went on.
So what do you think, Will?
I think that the basis of the stories are probably something that actually happened in reality. They seem very plausible, very doable, especially for a paranormal entity. But I think that in our current society, they've been blown out to the proportion and exaggerated to the proportion where what they are now is probably just a story to encourage good behavior. But it'd be really cool to discuss like Cole was discussing the early origins of all of those spirits. For instance, I had no idea that there was actually a physical town where all the inhabitants received toys. I thought it was always just a be good or else story.
No, St. Nicholas is real. Well, I found it interesting when we first started talking about Krampus 2 years ago. I spent 8 years in Germany. I've never heard of Krampus.
Were you there during Christmas?
Huh?
Were you there during
Oh, God, yeah. I spent 2 or 3 Christmases in Germany.
I can't believe you never saw a Krampus festival.
No. We had Black Peter every December 7th.
That's racist.
Well, so Black Peter himself is a very, he's actually a chimney sweep.
Well, I was playing the coloring.
Well, that's why he's depicted as black, because he's got soot. And so while St. Nicolaus would go through every German village had a St. Nicolaus, December 7th. And he went through every village on a horse-drawn carriage, and Black Peter would be sitting with him. And the good kids would get a small gift, and if they were bad, Black Peter gave them a lump of coal. And that is every December 7th. It might be December 6th. I know it's the 6th or the 7th. I don't have it in front of me. I can't remember.
Hunter told me today it was the 6th.
The 6th?
And he may be 12, but I believe him on most things he says.
Right.
See, I was always asking for a very highly pressurized lump of coal. Unfortunately, it never was given to me.
Right. And I got to say, I miss Christmas in Germany because oh God, what is it in German? It's the Christmas market. It ain't nothing like having a Christmas coffee in Germany. It's got Irish whiskey in it. it's great. But anyway.
Oh, that's why you're always with that coffee.
I forget how it was put. It was something. Honorable tale becomes fable. Fable becomes legend. So everything comes from its specific origins, but it just gets blown up to proportions. And we kind of have pulled from every part of the world. Like Christmas trees are pagan.
Right.
You know?
The thing I've noticed with Christmas itself, when people question whether or not that spirit is real, is regardless of what religion, regardless of what part of the world people are from, people seem to try and be a little nicer than normal.
Well, not on Black Friday, but that's a whole other story.
Yeah, Black Friday. That's just a merchandising nightmare.
That's what Christmas has become. You find more Christmas stuff out on stores before Halloween.
Oh, heavens, yeah, heck, I've seen it come out in July. I'm thinking, like, why? This is why I absolutely refuse around my house. You never see a decoration up. You never hear Christmas songs or Christmas movies being played until December 1st. I just flat out refuse to let it happen.
We start watching the Christmas cartoons Thanksgiving Day.
Wednesday morning, my brother sent me a Christmas-themed message on Facebook, and I don't talk to him very much, but I called him immediately. He was at work, and I told him immediately, go screw yourself. Christmas does not start till the day after Thanksgiving.
I agree with that.
Now,
yeah, at least yours is a little closer to Christmas than our Thanksgiving.
Well, yeah, your Thanksgiving is in what, October?
In October sometime, but don't ask me exactly when.
And that seems to be we went to Canada in October, and they had this big Thanksgiving banner in one of the stores, and we're like, really? Kind of early, ain't you? 'Cause, you just right over the border, 45 minutes, we were in Canada. And, when is Thanksgiving this year? That they didn't even know. It's like, really? Huh.
I have never been able to tell people that. The closest I've been able to tell is when the turkeys go on sale.
Well, we had turkey, ham, and roast beef. And
yeah.
We had all three, plus all the fixings. And I mean, thanks to Cole and his family, 10 pies?
Hell, I don't know.
So I'm just going to answer this in the,
No.
So Cod wants to know, are pagans devil worshippers? No, you know what? We don't even believe in the devil. The devil is actually a Christian, Judaic, and Islamic belief. There is no devil. I think the closest depiction of any kind of cloven-hooved, horned being is Pan, and he is actually the Greek god of fertility. So, do pagans believe in the devil? No, there is no devil in our belief. So, that's the answer for that question. Now, my question for the panel, who went out and went shopping for Black Friday?
Absolutely not.
I did. I bought a puppy.
I did.
That would have been yesterday, wouldn't it?
Yeah. There were a few years ago that we did go out just to check it out, and never again. Having PTSD, I think Black Friday is probably the worst day to go out.
Yeah, debatably, but probably pretty close. Oh, by the way, just a minor side note for you. I did find a cure for PTSD, by the way. A really bad one.
Say again?
I said I did find a cure for PTSD.
Oh, what's that?
Have a stroke. Rewires the brain completely. By the way, not recommended.
Yeah,
It worked.
I'll stick I'll stick with the medication and deal with the nightmares. I can deal with that. That's fine.
From what I've heard, psychedelics actually work really well for PTSD, and you don't have to almost die. So it just feels like it.
Yeah, right. I'll stay away from psychedelics.
Let's get you some LSD,
Eric. Yeah, here's some trade-offs that I'm thinking are not necessarily a good idea.
So, I guess nobody got any special deals on Black Friday.
I got a puppy.
You got what? That was a Black Friday.
No,
okay.
It's a black puppy.
I went out for Black Friday looking for a TV, but I went out a few hours after the beginning of it, and everything was all sold out. I wasn't going to spend $600 for a TV, so.
You know,
if you're still looking, go on to Amazon Monday.
Cyber Monday.
Yeah, and you will get a great deal.
Okay, I will. Thank you.
Yeah. Monday is Cyber Monday, and Amazon and all the online stores will be having their their Cyber Monday sales.
Yeah, just watch their lightning deals, and I believe they have a 55-inch, the Amazon Fire Toshiba TV, for like $99.
Okay, awesome. That sounds like a good deal.
Yeah, because I paid $300 for mine.
Yeah, I want to pay under $200. But thank you for that.
It's not a Black Friday thing, but I'm hoping to pick up a CB base antenna for $20 in Marysville to go over the garage. And yeah, so we're getting ready for disasters here upriver. It is winter season. Snow should be coming any day. We've already had the power go out, and we gotta get ready.
We are preparing for disaster. You say we're getting ready for a disaster. That makes us sound weird.
It does. It does. So, Keith, what's your first question for tonight?
I mean, grabbing for a ride could be a rush.
Say again?
I said, if you know a tornado's coming, hang gliding can be a real rush.
It gets awful in winter up here. We had 2 feet of snow last year, and no power for, 5 days? 4 days? Something like that.
I don't think they make a hand glider big enough to hold me up.
What's that?
A hand glider.
Sure they do. They call it a semi in the middle of a Class 5 tornado.
Or a 747. I could use that.
So, Keith, what's your first question tonight?
Well, you guys touched on it, actually. For 15 years now, roughly, we haven't had our national emergency broadcast system has not even been tested that I've seen. In the last 2 weeks, we've had it tested 3 times. So I'm curious what's going on that they're starting to test that so adamantly now.
Well, that's a good damn question. What's going on in Canada, Cole?
They probably got the funding to actually test it.
Oh, that could be too. Here upriver we have the dam sirens. I know they test them every second Monday night of the month, but that's routine.
That's a siren, though. That's different. This is a telecommunication emergency response.
Yeah, and like I said, I mean, after 15 years and now testing it? Which does have me a little intrigued.
How did you hear it?
Actually, I've had it come over my cell phone.
Okay, the reason for that is because they're upgrading the cell phones in Canada to accept all emergency signals. So you remember when we had that ping where the Amber Alerts started going across the cell phones?
Yes.
And they tested that 3 or 4 times?
That's what they're up to. Okay, that's why I figured I'd ask you guys.
Yeah, they're trying to make it so that any emergency response signal that they send out, they can send out from any police station anywhere they need to.
Well, that's a whole lot better than thinking that everybody's going to Oregon.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's a good thing that they're testing their systems. And could it be because of the protests and the protests against the government in Canada that's going on?
No, there's no way.
Okay.
No, people in Canada don't care enough to worry about that.
Yeah.
And it just grasping for straws here. It could be because the winter season is coming, and I don't know.
No, if it were just the season, they'd have done it more often than never in the last 15 years.
Well, and I know Alberta's had a really mild winter. How you guys been?
Well, I haven't. We saw one flake of snow. And I do mean that literally.
You better share that.
Damn
well, I
global warming.
I think in Kelowna here, I think we had 6 days with snow.
Right.
I kind of like it that way.
It's just freezing here. It hasn't snowed yet. We haven't had any first snow yet. So
it's cold here, but
Yeah, it's minus 23 in Drumheller Celsius right now.
And
that's so much better. It's over there than over here. I think we're getting to -8.
Jeez.
Which, by the way, boils down to probably somewhere around 25, 26-ish.
No, you're -8. You're at,
we're at
22 degrees.
That's 22? Okay.
Yeah.
So here in the Pacific Northwest, we expect snow, but where Will's at in Georgia, I know when I was at McPherson in 99 and 2001, there was a real light flurry, and they shut the base down.
Huh, really?
Yeah. And that was at Fort Gillem, Fort McPherson. They're like, really? It's not even, but it might stick. I'm like, okay, I'll go home if you really want me to, whatever.
Right, I'll take the extra day.
I mean, and Third Army was a unique unit to be in anyway. Being in the motor pool, we would go do PT in the morning, 6:30, be done by 7:30, and we would go home. To the point that I actually got a job at Target running the toy department for a year because I had that much time.
See, and when I was in school, it didn't matter if there was 4 feet of snow. It had to be minus 38 degrees Celsius for us not to go.
Right.
Because at that temperature, the boiler wouldn't start.
See, when I was in school, we would get 3 weeks at -40 here with 3 feet of snow.
Yeah.
And they never shut the schools down once.
It never mattered. And I had to walk in that crap.
Yeah, but it was uphill both directions for you.
No, it was flat, but still annoying.
Absolutely. I mean, I remember when I was growing up that there were days when they said you weren't allowed to have snowball fights. Of course, where I grew up, those days were the days when you packed a snowball and you had a ball you could put through the front window of a car.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now they tell you in school you can't have a snowball fight, and if you can get it to hold the ball, you're doing good.
Yeah.
So Starflower has a question in the chat room. Getting Abron on the show for the first hour was great. And, like I said earlier in the show, Abron was one of the pagan elders that actually stepped up and supported pagan troops. So having him on the show tonight was really awesome. And so we're going back into paganism real quick. But Star's got a question. Has anyone watched the Sabrina on Netflix? They show pagan celebrations. Are some of them true? or have the same. So I'll be honest with you, I've never watched Sabrina on Netflix.
I have.
Have you?
Yeah, it's about Satan. It's not about paganism.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't imagine it can be actually true.
So for clarification, some pagans will see Samhain, or October 31st, as the New Year. So going into pagan beliefs to an extent, for some traditions, Samhain, or October 31st, what you call Halloween, is when the god dies. So with paganism, you have a god and a goddess, because you can't have one without the other. It makes a masculine and feminine balance. Some pagans don't believe that. Some pagans will follow a god only. Some pagans will follow a goddess only. So, like Aubrey said, it's very diverse, and there's not one centralized belief. But the celebrations are pretty common. So, for me, Yule is actually the New Year. And Yule is December 21st, or the winter solstice. That is when our God is reborn. And it is symbolized by the sun. So the God is symbolized by the sun, the God is symbolized by the moon. And the next celebration mainstream pagans have is called Candlemas, and that's in February. I'm thinking here. Because I don't have all of them completely memorized here. March is the spring equinox, otherwise known as Ostara. And if you notice, it's very similar in sound to Easter. Ostara.
So the reason I don't believe some of it true is because of a story that came out of that show. And it was the fact that the Satanic Temple filed a lawsuit over a goat-headed statue that they used in one of their rituals.
That's Baphomet.
Yes.
Baphomet's got nothing to do with pagans.
Exactly. That's why I don't believe a lot of the stuff they did on that show was true.
Right. Yeah, it really comes down to a lot of confusion. Baphomet, Satanists worship Baphomet. Yep. Baphomet's got nothing to do with, like I said earlier in the show, the closest we have to your version of Satan or the devil with the goat head would be Pan. And Pan's got horns, he's got goat legs, but he is the Greek god of fertility.
Now, some of the things that they do on that show will be close because that's just successful writing. They are picking and choosing from a whole bunch of different beliefs and cultures to create something that is truly chilling.
Yeah, don't go by what you see on TV. A lot of these shows are crap. If you want to see something close, I'd say watch Practical Magic. Practical Magic is an awesome movie. Sandra Bullock is awesome. And very
Is that the one where
close.
they bury the guy in the rose garden?
Yep, and they fly off the roof. Yeah.
So,
But it is very accurate.
How many people you got buried in the backyard?
Well, no, that's
We're just going to leave that conversation alone, eh?
Plausible deniability. There we go. But no, okay, so since Cole's watched Sabrina, he knows pretty well what our beliefs are in most of what we do.
That
you
show's
do
a
realize
lot darker.
how many he's got buried there is how many were buried there that aren't.
Well, Bigfoot eats them. Just saying.
He does not. Bigfoot vegetarian.
So, yeah, again, if you're in the chat room, you got questions, please put them in caps. I am watching the chat room. There's not a lot of chatter going on anyway, so if you ask a question, I'll catch it. But usually you put them in caps.
PBR, Joe, where'd you guys go? What the heck?
They're listening. So, do you, all of our Christmas shopping's pretty much done. A majority of it is. How about you guys?
No.
No.
No?
I do my best to avoid it.
No.
Are you coming home for Christmas, Will, or are you stuck over there?
I'm going to try, but it looks like I'm going to be stuck.
Right on, right on. Any more training coming up that you can talk about? I had to clarify that.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't have anything classified coming up or anything like that, but beginning of March, I'm heading over to Poland for 3 months.
Oh, that could be fun.
And then...
Maybe.
Yeah,
Have a sausage for me.
And then I'm coming back. What was that?
Have a sausage for me.
I will. And then after that, I'm coming back for a month, and then out to Kuwait for 6, and then Syria for 3.
Oh, good God. If you need any help, let me know. It's not like I can
I will,
jump on a
thank you.
plane and come over there, but, well, I've got friends in Turkey.
Yeah, I appreciate it. If I need anything, I'll definitely let you know.
Yeah.
But my company and my platoon are both really good and on top of it, and they got my back, I got theirs, so I'm looking forward to it.
PBR is saying check out the salt mines in Poland.
Okay. Yeah, I will.
Not sure how much free time you'll have in Poland. Yeah, you work in sick call, ain't you?
No, they put me on the line, so I work directly with the infantry.
Okay, right on. So, I know the answer, and I'm sure by now you know the answer. Do they call you Doc, or do they call you Band-Aid?
They call me Doc.
Good, that's the answer I was hoping to hear. So for listeners that don't understand that reference, if you've earned the respect of your infantry unit, you are called Doc, and that is the greatest honor a medic can hear. If you're called Band-Aid, well, you're a piece of crap and you're not worth putting a Band-Aid on somebody's cut. And that's not even an exaggeration. That's, yeah, you're going to wind up dead somewhere if you're seen as a Band-Aid.
That is a fact.
that is fact. But
I always find it fascinating when people do that, though.
Say again?
I said, from what I gathered from that statement, that's your medic you're referring to. What doesn't make any sense is if you're a military, and don't get me wrong, I'm a military brat to start with.
Right.
But if your military, if your platoon relies on your medic, why insult the medic that's supposed to be taking care of you?
Well,
yeah, exactly. Well, they're usually even if you're a average medic, you're still seen as all right because they don't want to get one of the bad medics. No. But for instance, one of the guys who was in the platoon before me, he ended up actually getting kicked off of the line because he was just so terrible that even just the term Band-Aid wasn't enough to get him to try and shape up. He did not care. He did not treat anybody. He disappeared. He shammed. He just, was so bad at his job that it was seen as more of a risk to have him there than it was to not have a medic.
No, that was a platoon sergeant that said, "Oh hell, I know I don't need to call somebody's parents and tell them their kid died in a train accident." So yeah.
Turn to the medic and call him Shield.
And yeah, so what a combat medic does is above and beyond what your civilian paramedics do, and I will say that with pride. And nothing against civilian paramedics, they all have their job, don't get me wrong, but a combat medic is a lot more CBRN trained, is a lot more outside the box critical thinking trained, because with the exception of EMTs upriver, EMTs cannot stick IVs. Whereas in the military, a combat lifesaver, which is nothing more than first aid with IV training. So, that speaks volumes right there.
Even I can stick an IV.
Yeah, very true.
It might not do the guy any good, but I can do it.
You can stick an IV.
Yeah, the question is, where are you going to stick it?
Okay. We'll do some practice here later.
Kayla.
Beautiful.
Oh, yeah, PBR is saying Rampart Base. I'm not sure if that's referring to Poland or not.
Yeah, I think it's where the salt mines are near.
Okay, gotcha. So, Cole, what's your first question?
My first question is, so we all have something to do with the paranormal field. Is there anything in the paranormal or supernatural world that still scares you guys?
That scares us?
Yeah.
You know, fairness, my father used to tell me that the thing that worried him about me is nothing in the paranormal world scares me. The real world, that's another issue.
There's more threats, which is why I stepped out. So I'm going to be blunt here. With the exception of S4, I do not deal with the paranormal anymore. You know that.
Yeah.
There are more threats upriver, where we live, that are emergency management based, that are disaster related and terrorist related, that I worry about than there are paranormal. And that's why I stepped out of the paranormal. With the exception, again, of doing S4 we enjoy. To be honest, the paranormal I didn't enjoy so much anymore after Paracon. And there's a lot of things that need to change upriver involving emergency management, involving public safety upriver. And that's where the focus needs to be. So, does the paranormal scare me? Not even a little bit. How about you, Will?
I wouldn't say scares me, but fascinates me for sure. I don't have as much experience with it as probably any of you, but it's something that I've been looking forward to experiencing. So I would not say scared. No, any of it would be a welcome experience.
Okay, Don.
I wouldn't say scared, but cautious would be aliens.
Okay.
Other nice people ones you get.
Yeah.
And what makes you cautious about aliens? The fact that they abduct people?
Yeah, it's kind of that against your will sort of thing. Kind of bugs me. Like if I was invited to go up there and I had the option, I'd be all for it. But to be taken and not have a choice, I don't like that.
Okay.
Well, I can understand that. Been there, done, not had any fun with it.
And you know, like Keith can tell you, aliens themselves, if you haven't been abducted before, probably won't abduct you just because they already have their chosen people, essentially.
Yeah, I mean, they do keep an eye out, but on the plus side, when they do abduct you, most of the time they bring you back.
Well, depends which race.
Well, that's why I said most. The thing is, if they bring you back, they're also not going to abduct you again.
Oh, no. The Techlex, for example, you're going to be chicken. But, yeah.
Yeah, something to that effect. That's why I find it really fascinating when people say, I don't care by whom, I just want to have that experience of being abducted.
Right.
I'm thinking, this is a really bad thought.
And I always tell them, be careful what you wish for.
Well, it's like I was talking to one person that told me they wanted to track a werewolf into its lair against its will, just to see what it looked like.
And that's not smart either, to see if they actually change back into a human.
Yeah, I'm thinking, if you invade somebody's home, this is probably not going to go over well.
No, because they won't be able to see them change back into a human when they're, a snack.
Sure they will, but they'll be outside their corporeal body.
They'll be closer than they want to be, won't they?
Probably.
And so PBR saying the TV show Emergency Rampart Base. Now I'm remembering. Emergency was actually probably one of my first favorite TV shows as a child, along with Adam 51. I think it was Adam 51. Adam 12. There we go. Adam 12. Yep.
Yeah, Area 51, Adam 12, it was close.
And then, of course, they came out with Chopper Command, I think it was.
Yeah, but I think that was awful short-lived.
It was, but, I can't remember the name, but it was Peter, oh, God. Anyway, and, of course, he had Chips. Chips was a great show. Nothing like 70s TV. 70s TV was great.
I like MASH.
Huh?
MASH was definitely the quintessential.
Yeah, that's my favorite.
I remember...
You like Night Riders.
Remember a chap I was talking to, he said he was going to commit suicide. So I asked him about that particular song. He says, you know how that song goes, suicide is painless? It says they lie.
That was from MASH, and then Marilyn Manson came out with his version, which I like Marilyn Manson's version of Suicide is Painless, actually.
Yeah, see, I never listened to Marilyn Manson.
Oh, you should. He's educated.
Oh, I will listen to him talk, absolutely. It was the singing thing I didn't listen to him for.
Okay.
Now, on the other hand, Mel Tillis, I would listen to sing. I never listened to him talk. Brilliant man, but you could not track what he was trying to say.
Yeah, he was a genius. That's probably why.
Well, I had no problem with that part. It was the incredible stutter he had until he started singing.
Mm-hmm. So, Don, what's the weather like in California right now?
It's actually raining pretty good right now. It's going to rain for the next couple of days. So I don't know further east if it's snowing yet. I do know that it's at about 2,000 elevation that they had snow recently. So fires seem to be calmed down at the very least.
Does anyone know how the fires in Australia are doing?
Oh, I
I've
haven't
seen
heard
it,
anything
but
about
I
that.
think it's still making headway.
Are they? Well, at least the fires in California are going out. That's a good thing. Now we just need to watch Australia. So, when are you looking forward to snow, Don?
I would like it to. It's not going to snow where I'm at, but we were close enough, about half an hour's drive from it. So I can't wait until the wintertime and the holidays and everything else. That we go up to the same Christmas tree farm every year, so it's going to be fun.
Yeah, we got to finish our floor tomorrow so we can get our Christmas tree. We're putting a wood floor in. So let's see here. I know we were supposed to have Jamie on. We have a small panel, bigger than last week though. Bigger than last week. We were supposed to have Jamie on tonight. Jamie got too tired and she passed on out. So Will, what's your second question tonight?
My second question is, do bloodlines or mentality have a large influence on the amount of paranormal experiences someone goes through, or is it pretty randomized?
Do bloodlines have it? Say again?
Do bloodlines or mentality and belief have a influence on the amount of paranormal experiences someone has, or is it more randomized or based on location?
So I would have to say a little bit of both. Now, when it comes to the abduction side, it's the bloodline that actually affects abduction, because a lot of your abduction, your off-world abductions happen because of the bloodline. So if you talk to your grandparents, for example, and your parents, and a lot of times you're going to find that they were abducted because of the DNA factor. A lot of the abductions happen because they're monitoring the DNA anomalies of the human race. Correct, Keith?
Very much the case.
Now,
mind is there isn't any one blood type that's more susceptible than another.
No, and you know that drives me nuts. Well, I'm Rh negative, so I'm an alien. No, you're not. Rh negative is not a blood type. It's a lack of protein in the blood. That's all it is. It has nothing to do with you being abducted or not being abducted. All blood types get abducted. Anyway, enough of that. We've talked about Rh negative blood type on this show so many times it gets sickening.
That's because you don't have enough proteins in your blood.
Right, exactly. I'm A positive. I have anyway.
I mean, the only ones that really worry about what blood type you are is the shadow walkers.
The shadow walkers?
Well, yeah, by human standards, they call them vampires.
Okay, yeah.
They are fussy about what blood type they take.
Right. Now, when it comes to your belief system, I believe it does. And so when you're talking pagans, well, what most people see as paranormal, we see as normal part of our belief system, normal part of our life. You're talking about Catholics. They believe more in the demon side. They believe in, well, you take that, Cole. You're our resident Catholic. What do Catholics believe about paranormal? Yes, I put you on the spot.
It's all bad.
What?
Stay away from that.
Yeah, I've said awesome.
So, and I believe the more open you are to the paranormal, the more you're going to draw it. I will say that.
Well, I don't know if it's a case of draw it more, or simply recognize it more, and therefore it seems like it.
Okay.
And I would agree with that.
And actually, I would say that it's like you asked what the Catholic belief on the paranormal is. It has gone from, in the last 100 years, I'd say, it went from something that is bad and you don't want to go near that to something that's laughable. It's a joke.
Well, laughable, you have the Vatican that's got their own little exorcism division.
But that's the thing. When you actually go into Catholic churches, none of them really care about the Vatican.
Well, that's true. That's true.
The thing I find about there, I find fascinating there, especially when you're looking at the paranormal, when you take it into some of the practices that people use, right? I find it absolutely fascinating that the Catholic Church denounces all of it and yet trains people to work in the metaphysical fields.
Yeah. And then you have,
and yet they're training them.
But then you also have the Pope that was looking forward to meeting aliens here a while back.
He has a
The fun part is probably already has and just didn't know it.
Oh, probably, and what I found fascinating too is, the Vatican's got their own telescope named Lucifer.
That's reasonable.
So, what's your opinion, Don? What do you think about? Do you think belief system and DNA have anything to do with paranormal and your draw to the paranormal or your effect by the paranormal?
I think belief system has a lot to do with recognizing it instead of. You're going to have the skeptics that an apparition can just appear and wave at them in front of their face, and they find some quote unquote logical reason that apparition showed up. So the belief system has a very strong, I guess, factor when you're talking about whether or not someone's going to be able to even see the paranormal. But like you said, for you, like you or I, it's kind of like day to day. Yep, that's that. That's the Fae. They took my keys again, kind of thing. Like it. And but as far as bloodlines go, I think that might kind of, I don't know enough about this, but like my opinion on the bloodlines is like if your parents were mediums, and then that ability might get passed down generations. But other than that, bloodlines really don't matter all that much.
But I would have to say that has more to do with culture than bloodline.
Okay.
So you talk about a Muslim. The Quran talks about fairies. The Quran talks about UFOs. And we learned about this in Desert Moon when we were running the pagan group in Telefar. When we had Murat and Bulan from the Turkish Special Forces that actually came to our group as Muslims to learn about what pagans were. And the reason I bring that up, because it seems it's very pathetic to me that our own military leadership could basically turn their backs and attack us, but we're more accepted as pagans from a Muslim culture. That's what irritated me, I think, the most. And you look at society today where all Muslims are evil and bad. Well, no, they're not. There's actually radicals in every belief system. Pagans not excluded from that. But every culture, even I've talked about this on the show before, but in the European culture, when we had our paranormal event in our apartment in Germany, the Germans were more accepting that, oh my God, you have a ghost. You need to move. We need to move you onto housing. If I would have said the same thing in the United States on base, I would have been laughed out of their office and said, suck it up, Buttercup. There's no such thing as ghosts. So I think it has a lot to do with perception and culture when it comes to whether you're receptive to the paranormal or not.
Yeah, I kind of liken it this way. You don't have to believe a ghost is there for the ghost to actually be there.
No.
Kind of like you don't have to believe in gravity for it to cause all kinds of havoc with your circulation.
Exactly. So, what do you think about all that, Will? What do you think?
It sounds right to me. I think that your DNA. Let's see. I think DNA might cause more of a draw than otherwise if you didn't. For instance, like myself and some people I know have all recently been drawn toward the Celtic belief and those sorts of stories and things like that. And I've known my whole life that I'm mostly Welsh, but a couple of them did DNA tests and found out that they are also a mixture of Irish and Scottish, and one of them Welsh.
Then
and
you need to look up the Mabinogion.
Okay.
So the Mabinogion is a religious text of Celtic lore.
Oh, interesting. The Mabinogion. I'll look it up.
You might find that one interesting. I've got a copy of it at the house, in fact. And when it comes to the Hindu, in India, you've got the Mahabharata, which also talks about UFOs and alien wars and whatnot. So, every culture and belief system has their own stories of UFOs, of aliens, of. I've never found anything for Bigfoot or cryptids per se, other than the Bible talks about Leviathan, and I think a couple other creatures. I know for sure, Leviathan is one, but that's a sea creature. Sea creatures I've never been drawn to. Probably why I never joined the Navy. I've never liked water, so.
That will keep you out of the range of the sea creatures, I'll tell you.
Say again?
I said that will definitely keep you out of range of the sea creatures.
Exactly. I mean, I've got some books on sea creatures. I've got some files in the FMP library on sea creatures, but just an area I've never really researched or looked at. maybe we'll have to do a show just to force me to look up sea creatures. So it's the last month of the year, and we have to start looking at the calendar for 2020 for S4. So honestly, this is where I need to hear from you, our listeners. What kind of topics do you want to hear about? You know, because we have 4 weeks to come up with a calendar for 2020 on S4. So what we have to look forward to for S4 in the next year is some interviews we'll be doing with authors. And we've got two. I don't have the names in front of me, but we have two that I know are on the books, that we have to read their books and come up with questions for them. And that's where Red Wheeler Weiser is one publishing company. Inner Traditions is another publishing company that's sending us authors to interview and expose their books.
Red Wheeler Weiser.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to that. But every New Year's, we do our New Year's show. And we actually talk about plans for S4 in the next year, how we want to expand, some changes we want to do. And we always look at you, our listeners, for input on that.
World domination.
The pinky and the brain. Yeah. Anyway. So it's time for our next break. And we are going to play Poltergeist one last time. And when we come back, I know Cole's going to be working hard this week on some holiday intros and some holiday commercials for y'all to listen to. And I know in December we are going to get Cryptomnesia on the show. So, looking forward to that. That's going to be a fun show. So anyway, when we come back, we will carry on our roundtable tonight. See you after the break.
You are listening to S4 on Spreaker.com.
They say I'm evil, they say I'm dead inside. Check out my ego, 'cause I'm rotted here tonight. Just burn me like a witch and watch as I catch fire. But I cannot die, I am your poltergeist. I must have 1,000 souls trapped inside. 'cause I catch fire, but I cannot die. I am your motherfucker. They say I'm evil, they say I'm dead inside. Check out my ego, 'cause I brought it here tonight. Just burn me like a witch and watch it like catch fire, but I cannot die. I am your poltergeist, 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 poltergeist. Oh, poltergeist, 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 poltergeist.
Welcome back to S4 with your host, Eric Cooper.
All right, welcome back to S4. Oh, yeah, Poltergeist. That was an awesome... That's one of my favorite songs by Crypt Amnesia. And again, like I said, we'll have them on the show here, hopefully this month. So we're getting some awesome ideas for shows for 2020. I like PBR's idea. I think we'll focus on USOs, which are unidentified submergible objects, and potential undersea bases. And we'll be relying a lot on Keith for that information, along with research we'll be doing. And I do believe Mariana Trench does house a base, does it not, Keith?
It does. It was
And-
fascinating when they first started picking up humans. Messy, but it was fascinating.
Right. So which race is in Mariana Trench?
That's the seafarers. And the water.
Seafarers. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. And then Star's got debunking some of the misconceptions of paranormal and UFOs, and I like that idea too. We'll look at some of the mainstream ideas about what they are, and we'll debunk them.
And maybe certain people.
Oh, and certain people for sure. Yeah.
Well, the only thing that concerns me about the debunking thing is the people that need to get it straight. Many of them are stuck in their own view, where all the logic in the world won't help.
Well, no, but oh god, it's 1 o'clock in the morning. But you're absolutely right. But I think the more you debunk what they're saying, you bring up the facts as we know them versus the facts that they portray as reality, which, I'm sorry, Bigfoot's not Chewbacca, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, I think there's the paranormal field in general, whether it's cryptid, whether it's UFO, whether it's your haunting side, has gone just so far out there that some things need to be straightened out. And I think a lot of it comes from folks that watch paranormal TV and then jump on the bandwagon not knowing a damn thing, not having any kind of experience, no experiences they're themselves, and I think that's where some of the debunking needs to happen. And then you got the ones that do it for science, when in all reality the last science they experienced was in 4th grade, and playing with an EMF meter and getting an EVP is not science. There's no science to it. That's playing with toys. And I get tired of pointing out I guess bitching about the paranormal gets old, but it is what it is. So what's your second question, Cole?
First, I just want to address the one that PBR here is. He's talking about whether a craft underwater would have to be pressurized.
I think it depends on the technology.
Absolutely, because if you're thinking the craft has to be pressurized, you're thinking within the confines of human technology.
Exactly.
Not all races, off-world races, some of them can breathe underwater to begin with because they're water elementals.
And you'd think some of them, even the pressure might be equal to what their own planet's pressure would be.
Absolutely. And, so talking about Roswell, you got some races like the Pleiadians. We've talked about them on the show before. The Pleiadians can't live in our atmosphere.
Yeah, and it's got nothing to do with pressure.
Now, can the Pleiadians go underwater?
Not on this planet.
Okay, so they can only survive on their own planet, in their own planet's atmosphere.
Reality is water and air are the same thing, just a little denser as far as the difference between water and air.
Okay.
So on Earth, a Pleiadian is dead in the water.
So obviously humans couldn't go to their planet, correct?
Well, they could, but they better take an atmosphere soon.
Right.
Otherwise, it's going to be a very miserable 3 minutes.
Okay. What was that Schwarzenegger movie?
You don't want to go to the Strazazian homeworld either.
I love that, though. You're always the optimist. You at least gave them 3 minutes.
Right. Yeah, gasping for breath and holding your throat.
Well, I still imagine like the 3 seconds as their head expands and then pops.
True.
Yeah, I think even in outer space, I don't think it blows up that fast. I do know the seafarers, when they first started taking people, they found too many people on the journey down got shoved up inside the helmet, which, by the way, is not good for humans.
Right. I'm getting email pop-ups here. Yeah. Part of running a show online. So what's your second question?
Okay. So I recently read an article about a gentleman from Russia who is trying to figure out...
Really?
Yes. If
he does actually read.
Yeah. If it's possible to capture and contain a spiritual entity.
Well, the answer is yes. Not wise, but possible.
That was kind of my thoughts. Why would you want to, for one?
Because who the hell doesn't want to be a Ghostbuster?
I honestly find that, now, a malevolent entity? Sure, let's catch him and put him in the couch. And then we'll sell the couch on eBay for $1,000. And a possessed couch.
Who are you selling the couch to?
I don't know. You throw it on eBay for $1,000 as a possessed couch. Guarantee you're going to have 100 people wanting to buy it.
There's a few people I'd drop it off on their doorstep.
Well, that too.
Why? What did spirit ever do to you?
Oh no, we're not talking about spirits. We're talking about malevolent entities. Now, spirits, I find that concept disrespectful because you're talking spirits that were living out. They're living people at one point in time, and why would you want to capture them? Yeah, okay, Don. Don says Zach Bagans has a museum for haunted couches. Yeah, that I'm not surprised by. He probably screams every time he touches one. Oh. But, in all reality, I remember several years back, we were actually going against several stores that were actually selling trapped spirits and trapped entities. And really? There's people stupid enough to buy this stuff.
Well,
and then it becomes Then it becomes a case because they wind up freeing it. And then they wonder why their house is haunted.
But that isn't what he's talking about. He's not talking about putting one spirit in one item. He is talking about like an actual containment jail for all of them.
And that's stupid. 13 Ghosts comes to mind.
Although it would be fun to watch.
Have you seen 13 Ghosts?
Oh yeah,
I
it's
have.
my favorite.
I've seen
Yeah, it's a
13
good movie.
Yeah, go ahead and piss off all those entities that you trap. And let them go ahead and get out.
I don't get to watch that one anymore.
And put them all in the same room, because those guys will work together to get out.
Oh, yeah. And guess who they're coming after?
Trump?
Yeah, no.
They're not coming after
Sorry.
me. They're going to come after the Russian that put them in a box.
Whoever the genius is that tries to trap them, they do not take to slavery any more than most people do.
No. So, yeah, is it scientifically possible? Sure it is, but why would you want to do it? Because there is a Russian scientist that's going to try.
You know, they put it brilliantly in Jurassic Park when they said scientists are so interested in what they can do, they seldom think about whether it's a good idea.
No, and you know, what comes to mind when I even saw that was someone trying to be famous. I mean, someone trying to make money off it. Someone, what's the logic behind it? Enough people have paranormal experiences that you know it's valid. So why are you going to try capturing them all?
Well, maybe he just doesn't have all the information we do. And he saw Ghostbusters, and he's like, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I forget what the name of that stream was, but I'm thinking if you're using those streams, you're in serious trouble, first of all. You know, the plasma streams they were talking about using to try and capture them?
The proton packs.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, using a proton pack it's a cute thought, and it will make a mess of the neighborhood. But it won't do much to the spirit. And it certainly won't
streams.
It'll destroy Toronto.
Yeah, but only once.
Well, yeah.
Okay, but I'm looking for the bad part of that.
Okay, here's the bad part. My publicist in editor lives there.
Oh, okay.
Well, give her a little bit of warning.
Then we'll send him to Montreal.
Yeah, that's not a good idea.
No. So when is the next one coming out?
Ghostbusters?
Yeah.
So there hasn't been a release date yet set. It's summer 2020.
Okay.
That's all they have so far.
So we're going to have to watch it and talk about it on the show.
But filming has wrapped. They are done filming. We're just waiting on editing now.
So are we going to sit and pick it apart?
Hell yeah.
Okay. And try to get Dan Aykroyd on the show to help us pick it apart?
Yeah.
Oh.
I will be sitting there watching my Ghostbusters while wearing my proton pack.
But dude, if we get Dan Aykroyd on the show, we're not talking about Ghostbusters, we're talking about UFOs. Because he's a UFO guy more than he is Ghostbusters.
Actually, I've heard when he does interviews, he's more interested in talking about the ghost side because he's still trying to get back to it.
Really? Okay. So, yes, for our listeners, we are, and have been for a couple of years now, trying to get Dan Aykroyd on the show. Maybe one day. Maybe one day. We'll keep trying. We just got to find his publicist. And dogs and cats living together, all the worst parts of the Bible. Yeah, no, he's still talking about the spirit, malevolent entity catching aspect. Yeah, spirits fighting each other in their containment facility? No.
No, working together quite readily because none of them want to be caught.
No, I can see them, like you said, trying, working together to get the key and unlock the door, and, well, yeah, no, that wouldn't be good. So,
well, it's entertaining.
Entertaining for who?
Well, I'm twisted in that fashion.
My favorite scene from those movies is still when, in number 2, the Titanic shows up. And Cheech Marin looks at the guy beside him and says, "Better late than never."
No.
Yes.
It's funny when you mention that. They're trying to build a replacement for the Titanic.
Right? That
I'm just hoping
the dumbest idea ever.
So, PBR wants you to expand on that, Keith.
Yeah, on which part?
Everything.
Or on the spirits working together?
On the spirits working together. How are they going to work together?
Well, number one, they can generate a localized wormhole, at which point the containment field won't hold.
Oh, that doesn't sound good.
Problem too.
Twinkie the size of Texas.
Huh?
That's how they said it in Ghostbusters.
Okay.
If they shut the power off to the containment center, it'll be a Twinkie the size of Texas.
Yeah, pretty much. See, the fun thing about it is the containment field that they require. First of all, if you're trying to stop one type of spirit or one type of entity, that's great. But if you're trying to stop multiple times, they don't all stop at the same frequency.
Well, I think the day that happens is the day that we're going back to work.
No. The day that happens, you won't have to work again.
Oh, okay.
Because the day that happens, the planet tears itself completely apart.
Well, then we're definitely going back to work on the emergency response side. Just not the paranormal side.
Yeah, you won't live long enough for it.
No.
It was kind of like when Sarah went, the people in Manoa, they thought they were going to be able to clean up after the mess too. Unfortunately, most of them couldn't swim. Not that well, anyway.
Oh no. I wasn't exaggerating when I said I hated water. So yeah, I'd be one of those ones that would drown quickly.
Well, after getting pulled into an intake valve, I kind of lost my interest in swimming.
Right.
But no, the biggest problem with trying to compete malevolent entities is they're not cooperative.
No, not even a little bit. So, Don, what do you think about containing malevolent entities?
I don't think we're spiritually advanced to even think about doing that as human beings. I just think that would be a very, very bad idea.
Pandora's box comes to mind.
Yeah.
The neat part about it is this. Obviously, humans can think about it. Are they capable of doing much with it? No.
No, in that particular post we're talking about, I don't see coming to fruition anyway.
I do agree with you there. You look at the amount of energy you're generating to try and contain that field and then realize these are the guys that live in energy. They don't work with it.
No.
That came out very nice.
It's just, I'm imagining the Russian scientist somehow finding our show, sitting there listening, and he's hearing everyone say, "We're not ready for this. We're not ready for this." And he's like, "Screw those people. This is Russia."
This is Russia. I'm going to put it in Chernobyl. Chernobyl is going to be the next malevolent entity prison. Yeah, okay, no. You can keep them in Russia. The motherland.
You know, in all fairness, if you could get the entity to just stay in Chernobyl, it would clean it up. Of course, the problem is once the food supply ran out, they're going to want to go find it elsewhere.
Right. So, Don, what's your next question?
Yes. All right. So, is there any correlation between abduction cases and our holiday season, whether it is an increase or a decrease?
Well, the theory is there's got to be a correlation, but not one I've ever been able to quantify.
Okay.
The one thing that I have seen where it is easy to quantify is that UFO reports globally do seem to jump by about 3 times every time Mars gets to its closest point to Earth. Which, when you think about the logic of it, makes total sense. Because when it gets that close, they can send the tour buses out a lot more readily. They can send the classes in.
Well, you've also got to kind of factor in, too, when Mars is closest, you've got some people that misidentify Mars as a UFO.
Yes.
So when is Mars closest to Earth?
I have no idea.
Okay. As far as Christmas time, December being a rise, I see more of a rise during the summer months because you got more and more people out and the skies are clear.
Yeah, I mean, face it. When you're looking at 30 below weather, most people don't go outside very long.
No. And, when you're talking snow, when you're talking cloud cover, it's too cold to go outside. You're not going to see as much of a jump. Joe, so Joe's asking if Santa Claus is an alien. No, he's not. Santa Claus is Santa Claus.
His reindeer are.
His reindeer, yeah. No. His
No,
reindeer just have magic.
We've got boomers.
What?
I said in Australia, it's 6 white boomers. Kangaroos.
You mean Australian Santa Claus has got flying kangaroos?
Yeah, look. There's an old song. I think it was the Irish Rovers that did it, called 6 White. No, it wasn't. But the song was called 6 White Boomers.
We'll have to look that up for the show. Not right now.
But no, the funny thing I always found about Santa Claus is whether you want to call it a real entity or not, the one thing that is absolutely certain, the Christmas spirit, regardless of where you are, does seem to permeate the planet a lot, in spite of the commercialization.
Rolf Harris wrote that song.
Thank you.
Well, the Christmas spirit is supposed to be a spirit of giving and a spirit of family and sharing.
It is.
Positivity.
Commercialization and technological advance is what they call it. I call it a box job. Mind you, if it wasn't technology, we couldn't do what we do here.
I guess my argument with that, however, would be why does depression go up during the holidays? If it's supposed to be a spirit of giving and positivity.
Amplification of commercialization and greed.
English?
Yeah.
Well, I'd say that's true for some of it. I think some of it is when you think back to all of the Christmases you've had before, too. You also think of all the people that are no longer around. Some people get into situations where that's not because the person passed, but because their own situation caused the person to leave their life.
Right.
And that is a depressing situation. And with all the happiness around you, you feel more lonely.
And this is true. This is true.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly agree with you as far as that goes. You know, the ironic part about it is, if people, and it's a very big if people would get past the idea of staring at the idiot box and the one-eyed monsters and start talking to each other, you'll find the problem with depression actually decreases rather drastically.
And you know, that's why you have to encourage people to find like minds, or you know, pull your community together. Okay, you pull positivity in, pulling communities together, it'll override the negativity. Ideally, the depression. You find the people that you know are by themselves or alone for the holidays, and you invite them to your home.
Yep. Or at least, even if you just sit and talk to them for a minute. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people I know that are on the street I wouldn't want in my house, but I will talk to them.
Right. I just look at, you know, like I compare that to our own community. Our own community is very good at pulling together during different holidays and having community dinners and, you know, identifying who they know are by themselves, identifying who's disabled, identifying who needs more support than the rest of them.
See, the ironic part there is there's a staggering number of people that need that, but what I've found watching over the years is that humans have a tendency of pulling together when they have either a common enemy or a common threat.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's about the only time they will open doors.
Surprisingly enough, again, I'm looking at our, you know, colonized own community here. You will find more people opening the doors, but again, we're in a rural area. I can see city folks not opening their doors. I just can't. I look at Seattle, no. I look even at Mount Vernon. A lot of those people ain't gonna open their doors for anybody.
And I find up here when we have a situation where there is a like-minded enemy or anything like that, it actually separates us more.
Well, I will tell you, when we had the clam bake here back in 2003, it sure drew the entire city together. You know, as in, we had a fire that broke into city limits. We evacuated a third of our city. Mm-hmm. And the fire did not care one way or the other whether you were rich or poor.
No. The sad thing about that, though, is when the looters come out. When you evacuate, you have looters that come out and take advantage of empty houses. You always have the negative aspect of a community.
And, you know, I'm not going to go into it right now, but I've got my own idea as to what should happen to that. I actually talked to the police about that idea. They were, to say the least, a little confused, but they agreed with the rationalization on it. You know, the reality is that, you know, humans are by nature, and I know this goes against what a lot of people think, but by nature, humans are very cooperative and very understanding. It's just as they get older, the adults teach them how to be prejudiced, how to be fearful, and how to be very selfish and greedy.
Right.
You know, and the reason I can say it that way is because take a group of kids take a mixed group from all income levels, all colors, all backgrounds, put them all in the same room. They will find a way to play with each other.
Absolutely.
You know, they don't learn the concept of greed until later.
That reminds me of that picture that I seen it on Facebook, and it was two kindergarten kids, one black, one white, and they got the same haircut so their teacher couldn't tell them apart.
Well, that's why I tell people when you get started talking about that, and there's a saying that goes, clothing makes a person. And like I tell people, if that were the case, then schools that use uniforms, or the military for that matter, everybody would behave the same way. But no, the nice part about the spirit of Christmas is quite frankly, we know that it happens. There's enough physical evidence of it happening. It's not something that has to be proven. It's just something you have to open your eyes to.
Right.
The best example I ever saw of that was Christmas Day. I think it was 1914. When the Axis and the Allies, on Christmas Day, without an official ceasefire, stopped shooting at each other, crossed no man's land, and broke bread together and exchanged gifts. What I never understood is why on Boxing Day they opened fire again.
And that's a great story, and yes, it actually happened. And it shows the brotherhood of humanity.
Yeah.
In all reality. It shows soldiers having a brotherhood. Did those soldiers really want to be there? Probably not. Their government sent them. Their leaders sent them. The soldiers themselves did not want to be there. And they knew that. They knew the other side, regardless of the fact that they're shooting each other, were still human. And they were, the pawns of the government that was sending them there. So, in that regard, why are we shooting each other on Christmas Eve? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and the thing is, and this is the one big difference between the modern day and the Middle Ages. In the Middle Ages, if people were going to go to war, their king was right out in the front. They weren't hiding they weren't sitting behind a desk. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm 100% against war to start with.
Mm-hmm.
But if everybody would get it straight, and if all of the privates and all the lower, the non-coms and what have you, were to put down the guns, the war would be over, regardless of what anybody said.
But you won't see that change.
Not in our lifetime.
No, I don't think in any lifetime.
But 40,000 years ago, mankind actually had 100% peace on Earth. There was no war. There was no greed. There was, there was none of that. Jealousy was non-existent.
Until the first person picked up a rock and threw it at their neighbor.
Actually, no. What killed the Lemurian Empire was a thought that was very, very ill thought out thought. They didn't think about the consequences, but they were bored.
Right.
Ultimately, what it down to was that they hadn't tried it before, and we never did figure out whether it was a child or an adult that said it. But somebody came up with the idea of, what happens if we all stop our hearts all at the same time?
And right. That reminds me of the story in Somalia where an engineer unit was making a road out in the middle of the jungle. And they were warned by the locals, don't throw rocks at the monkeys.
Yeah.
And there was a monkey that came out for a couple of days and watched them. And it took one soldier to throw a rock and hit the monkey. And that night, the whole pack of monkeys came back and they all threw rocks at the engineering unit. And yeah, they learned a real hard lesson. Yeah, it only takes one rock. And yeah, they found out real fast that you don't throw rocks at monkeys.
See, I saw a similar video that was only up for a very short period. Same sort of area, but they had a monkey come into a camp, and I don't know if it was soldiers or I think it was poachers. But the monkey came into camp, and the guy took a submachine gun, right, an automatic weapon of some form, and pretended to shoot the monkey. Right, made the noise with it, pointed out how to pull the trigger, and then set the gun down and shoved it towards the monkey. The monkey figured to use it. Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on who you talk to,
right,
the poachers were not on the right end of the gun at that point.
Monkey knew how to take the safety off.
Yeah. Pushing that button, something's going to give.
Oh. And PBR says, heard about the chimp that tore a girl's face off. No, I haven't heard that one, but I have no doubt. Monkeys can be ruthless, as we did find out.
Yeah.
So, Keith, what's your last question for the night?
Where's my coffee? No,
it's in your hand.
Yeah. No, it's not around. Sorry. No, I was just curious if anybody has heard, like, because the Paracon is closed down. I'm wondering if anybody has heard or come up with a replacement for it. Heard about or come up with a replacement for it, because it's a spot that needs to be filled.
Say that one more time.
With the Paracon shutting down, there is a massive crater right now at a time when that Paracon is necessary. I'm just curious if anybody has heard about a new one opening up or a replacement possibly in the works.
Well, actually, there is a paranormal festival that's supposed to be going on in Bellingham in September of next year that is in the works. And that is run by Cheryl Hershey. So, yes, there is a replacement. We have nothing to do with it. It was in the works, I believe, last fall. And so, yeah, Cheryl Hershey will be the contact person for that. And they are looking for speakers. They are looking for vendors, things of that nature. So that can easily be a replacement for next year.
Now, I'm going to be real direct and see if you can get me the contact info.
I don't have it in front of me. I can send it to you, though.
Okay, yeah, I didn't think you'd have it right there. But that would be appreciated.
But, yeah. And, you know, years ago, Cheryl had actually talked about this extensively, and it just took, I guess, this year that she actually started planning for it. So, and then, of course, we have the Sasquatch Festival in Marble Mount. I know is in August. This year was their first annual. I believe they're planning for a second annual next year. Maybe we'll go speak at that one. We'll see. But there is the Sasquatch Festival in Marble Mount. I believe it's going to be August of 2020. And again, you can Google that and probably find out more information on Facebook, at least for that.
Yeah, I'm just thinking that this is the time when things are getting really interesting.
Indeed. And we'll be talking more about that coming into next year as we find out more details for other events that are coming up.
Well, I do appreciate that. And I'm sure a lot of the listeners do.
So, what do you see, and this is for the whole panel, what do we see happening in the paranormal for 2020? Is there anything that you know of that's going to expand? Are we going to see more UFOs like we saw in 2019? Do you see paranormal activity picking up for 2020?
I don't know if you want to call it paranormal, but there is certainly going to be an increase in energetic exchanges, especially on the geophysical and atmospheric situations. Some of that is undoubtedly going to be amplified by what you would consider paranormal activity.
Okay. So what do you see as energetic interactions?
Well, quite frankly, what we've seen as natural disasters so far are mild compared to what's coming. I don't know if it's going to hit in 2020, but I do know they're going to get worse. And a lot of that has to do with the energy that mankind is putting out.
And why is that?
Well, about 30 years ago, in Pennsylvania, they actually proved beyond a shadow of a doubt that plants actually respond to negative and positive energy.
Okay.
Okay. Needless to say, negative energy has a negative impact.
Right.
Well, the sad reality of it is, Earth is a massive plant colony, and is not going to continue to respond well to what's going on. You know, the amount of conflict that is being amplified right now. Great, you know, the negativity is not causing global warming. It's certainly not helping the situation.
Right.
But what you're going to find is that Earth is starting to react to the negative, which is one of the things that the off-worlders are watching more fervently than they have in the past.
So, is it the human race that's bringing about the negativity, or is there some external forces bringing about negativity?
The human race every human has the capacity to tap into what humans call zero-point energy, what I've referred to as the neural net. And by forcing that much negative energy into the system, it's destabilizing the tectonic and atmospheric environments.
Okay, that actually makes sense. So is that what's causing the impact for the future years?
Quite frankly, yes.
Okay.
See, now people worry. You know, people have this wonderful thought that, you know, mankind will work through things, or that you have to worry about World War III because of people with guns. It's very hard to aim a missile in the middle of a Class 6 hurricane.
Right.
You know, and I will tell you, ground warfare in the middle of a 10-point plus earthquake does not happen very well.
No, it's kind of hard to fire your weapon with ground shaking.
Yeah, I mean, you can fire it; it's just hitting anything that's a problem.
Well, that's when you spray and pray. But yeah, you have to have an automatic weapon for that one.
Yeah, either that or a case of the shake.
Or extreme luck. All right, so how's your book selling?
Well, I've got to actually go down and order more because the limited editions are gone.
Right on.
From the novel, the limited editions are gone. I've still got, I think I've got about 15 of the races of the world. I finally found an artist. Actually, I might have two artists to start adding to it. So it's coming along nicely.
Good.
And of course, the sequel to the novel is due to come out in the spring. We've started editing now.
So where can folks find your book?
Well, at this point, there's a couple places. The easiest way is to drop me a line at innervoiceenterprises@yahoo.ca, or track me down on Facebook. Of course, R. Keith Andrews. Well, on Facebook, it's Ronald Keith Andrews. We have figured out how to actually purchase it via PayPal.
Okay.
Those are the easiest ways to find it.
And where can folks find your YouTube channel?
That would be R. Keith Andrews.
And do you have any new videos coming out?
Just getting started on them this week.
Excellent.
I will tell you, having a stroke plays havoc with trying to organize things.
Oh, entirely, yeah. I totally agree. And that's why tonight it's the first time you've been on the show in about 3 weeks to a month.
I think so, yeah.
So, Don, you got any final comments tonight?
No, not really. I mean, it's been a really fun show. I especially like when Oberon was on. That was really fun and entertaining and informative and all the above. So that was really cool.
Excellent. Yeah, I didn't lock Oberon in until about 2 nights ago, actually. So he was the last minute addition and a great addition for tonight. And then he'll be in Seattle on the 18th to the 26th. So we'll be going down to the Seattle area to meet him. Cole, you got any last comments?
Yeah, so for all our listeners, if you know any businesses or you own a business that would like us to do advertising for you during our commercial segment, we offer some great tiers on www.s-4radio.com. Starting at just $20 a month, you get a 30-second advertisement, an S4 keychain, thank you shout out from us, a Facebook promo. Like, it is a really good deal that you do get put out there a lot by us. And then also for anyone who doesn't own a business but still wants to support us, we have our Patreon page, FMP/S-4 Paranormal. Go on there. We've got some great tiers on there where you get a lot of great stuff, and you will find out about many different things that we'll be doing throughout there that are Patreon based only. So come on, help us out, support us, and keep us running.
Outstanding. Keith, you got any final comments?
Well, the best thing I can say is it really is time for people to get to know who their neighbor is, especially at this time of year. That will have a dramatic impact on all aspects of life, especially when we were talking about the loneliness people go through.
Mm-hmm. And you know what? Even if you don't want to go to your neighbor's house, take them out to coffee.
Oh, heavens, say hi to them as you're walking out the door.
Exactly. You have to invite people to your house. I get that. Privacy, security. But be friendly. That's all you got to do.
Yeah.
That's really all you got to do. And, Cole and I live in an awesome community. Just by the fact that when someone is in need, the entire community steps up and helps them out. That was proven by the family that lost their home here a couple weeks ago. I mean, the whole community stepped up and helped them out. So, I've said this on many, many different sites. Don't look at the government. Don't feed into the negativity of the bureaucracy. Whether you love Trump, hate Trump, I really don't care. It's your right to vote for who you want to. But pay attention to your own community, because one day that's going to be all you have. The government doesn't care who you are. The government doesn't care about what you need. Your community is the one that will step up and take care of you in the end. So,
this is why karmic law. Do unto others as you desire them to do unto you. It's that simple.
It's all energy. It's all about energy.
I'm not allowed to do that. They made that illegal.
What, karmic law?
Huh? Do unto others as you want done unto you.
Yeah. Anyway. Next week will be the first December show, and will be December 7th, I believe.
Don't ask me. I don't know.
Next
dates.
Saturday. There you go. Next
Saturday.
Saturday.
7th.
This is.
That makes sense.
And we will be talking about Christmas creatures or holiday creatures. So look forward to that. It's always a fun show every year. And And you know what? We will be talking about Krampus because I just can't get rid of
Well,
Krampus.
and there's some that most people don't even realize are Christmas creatures.
What's that?
Jiminy Cricket.
Yeah. You might hear about Jiminy Cricket next week. Woo! All right. So, on that
it is
note,
Pearl Harbor Day.
Huh?
It is Pearl Harbor Day. I never thought of that, too.
Yeah. That was a bad day. That was the, right next to 9/11, actually. Yeah. Anyway.
Well, it's a day that was bad for America. It was bad for Japan because they were all sitting there like the little brother who decided to stand up for once, hit the bigger brother, and then realize, oh, crap, what did I do?
Right? Right. You know, I've been in the Army for, 9 years now. And in the Army, those are the days you pay attention to. You know, but it's been 9 years. I don't pay attention to historical days so much anymore. Other than Memorial Day, Veterans Day, military days. And yes, Pearl Harbor Day would be a military day, but there's just days that you lose track of, to be honest with you.
See, the only reason I don't pay attention to what we call Remembrance Day is because I think about it every day instead of just one out of the year.
Well, exactly. And I'd agree with that. So anyway, wrapping up the show. Y'all have a safe week. Again, happy holidays, because now we can't say happy holidays because it's after Thanksgiving. So now's that holiday period that they all recognize. And
I always go with it being it's December 1st.
Well, it is.
For me.
You know what? It's 1:52 a.m. It is December 1st. So
exactly
happy
my
holidays.
point.
Well, and for anyone out there shopping, just remember, Walmart put in all those self-checkouts, but they gave you no training before making you a cashier. So if you don't scan something, it's not your fault.
Exactly.
Not nice. Not nice.
All right. So y'all have a safe week. Keep your eyes to the skies. Remember, it's you, our listeners, that keep S4 going and make this a fun show. Good night, everybody.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us tonight on S4, the official voice of Forest Moon Paranormal. You can contact S4 through our website at www.s-4radio.com or on Facebook. Make sure you give us a like on our page and join the Forest Moon Paranormal group. If you are interested in advertising, take a look at our packages and contact Cole or Eric at 1-360-999-2830. Again, thank you. And remember, keep your eyes to the sky.